D4vd, aka David Anthony Burke, aka the musician known as David. In the last hours, we learned from a source within the LAPD, and of course, they're not saying a word, they're not confirming this, that finally LAPD is considering David Anthony Burke as a suspect in the death of a girl, Celeste. I've been analyzing what we have learned overnight. First of all, that's not a surprise to me.
While his stage name is spelled with a 4, his legal name is David Anthony Burke, plain and simple. The bombshell this week was that the LAPD sources say investigators now consider David a suspect.
Finally, a major update in the Celeste David case, this situation. I know we've been waiting forever for the police to even make some sort of movement. Well, it looks like there's a movement that's about to be made with these details that got exposed. Fugitive TV. For those of you that don't know anything about this situation, first off, this is Fugitive TV. I'm your host, Ray Marcel, where we look at true crime cases right now, and even some cases that have been in the past. Either they've been solved, unsolved, missing people, and we look at it from a different perspective because I was once a fugitive on the run, so I can look at things a little differently than what another person might look at. Also did time myself, and now I'm spending my time talking to you guys to help somebody else out, just to see what I can do. Well, this is Fugitive TV. Right now, we are talking about David and Celeste. Now, I've done a bunch of videos on this. I've broken down a lot on this, okay? But right now, there is some new updates, okay? My last video that I did, I think it was like a week ago, LAPD said, yeah, it looks like there's going to be no arrest made. That's what they said. But guess what? This has all changed due to a leak. And I'm going to tell you possibly maybe why this information was leaked out, okay? Well, if you don't know, David is the singer who's becoming famous. He was found pretty much on Fortnite, making music for Fortnite. That's how he was discovered. And he ended up meeting this girl, Celeste, on Fortnite. Now, Celeste at the time was 11 years old. David was 17. David pretty much has been seeing this girl Celeste and even physically seeing her since she was around 12 to 13 years old. She even ran away a bunch of times. She actually, when they found her body, she was actually reported as a missing child, but she was hanging out with David this whole time, who at this time is now a grown man, about to be 21 years old. Well, Celeste was found in the front of his Tesla, which is the front part of the Tesla, right? This is for those of you people that don't know the story. I have to give it up real quick. The Tesla got towed in front of his house. They took it to a tow yard. The people who worked there said there's a strange stench coming from and they called police. Come to find out, she was in the front, all right? If you want to know more information on how that all led up, go check out my other videos, okay? Well, we all have been waiting because this took place. Please remind me, what was this, back in October? I don't even remember the exact day when this happened. All I know is October. I think maybe October 8th or 9th or something. And that's when they found her body. Well, there was a leak saying that now David is a suspect.
Which might raise the question, what took him so long?
I want to say no. You and I both know that David should have been a suspect from the start. After all, she was found in his vehicle. If they found a body in my vehicle, oh, I ain't talking to you. I'm going to jail. If they found a body in your vehicle, you'd let me know what do you think is going to happen if they found something in your vehicle. You think you're going to be writing comments, letting me know? Nope. You're going to be sitting in jail like we all are. But for some reason, David hasn't been. But not only did they leak out that he's a suspect, there's been details that has been leaked as of to why. And now these details are starting to make sense of why it's taking so long. Well, We all know when they found her in the front of the Tesla that they said that she had to been passed for a while because she was already decomposing and the body was decomposing badly. They couldn't tell, you know, if any trauma or anything because it was been in the front so long. So now we're all waiting on a toxicology report. That's what we're all waiting on now, right? It should be any day, but this is what we've been waiting on. Well,
we're getting more than suggesting. We know what's going on. So there is not an official cause of death yet because the medical examiner has not ruled, nor have the toxicology reports been given to LAPD. But what I can tell you is that the robbery homicide unit and the investigators looking at this case are viewing this as a homicide and viewing David, the singer, as the suspect.
Are they? Well, there's my next question. A suspect, because there was some intimation that was too difficult a job for one person to carry out.
come to find out, these details, somebody has tracked David's movements, which is not hard because first of all, he's driving a Tesla. The whole Tesla is nothing but a big computer. It can be tracked. It's got cameras all over it. And I don't care what you say, those cameras can be pulled because those cameras can be recording and looking at you. Look up the Tesla lawsuit. Look that up, where there was a class action lawsuit on Tesla because people were filming Tesla employees, okay, or turn on your camera because there's a camera inside too, looking at your face. They would turn on your camera and record you doing something dumb, like picking your nose, whatever it is, and they were selling that footage off the online places. Well, Tesla got sued over that, okay? Now, supposedly, the whole recording system's changed or different. Who knows? But those cameras still look at your face because they know if you're paying attention to the road while the car is driving itself or not. I have one, so I know. Now, they tracked his movements, okay? And they tracked his movements all the way to springtime. Springtime. You guys should know around springtime. What's that? January, February, March, spring what? Starts around like March to June, March, April, May, June, maybe the end of March to June, depending on what state you in. But technically, I think spring is from the end of March to June, right? I believe so. And summer starts maybe at the around June. You guys let me know. But I know it's around there somewhere, okay? So they tracked his movements all the way to spring, but they're not saying the exact day. They're not giving us this. But what they did say was in the springtime, David took a trip at midnight from his house out to Santa Barbara to a remote location. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar that aren't from California. Now, I don't live in California, but you can tell from the hat. I grew up in California. I grew up in LA. So I'm familiar with all these areas they're talking about. I don't live there now, but I grew up in that area in LA, I should say. So that is about a 2-hour drive from Hollywood Hills to Santa Barbara. Meaning, if he left his house at midnight, he probably got there around 2 or a little after 2, depending on if he was speeding or not. Okay? So they're wondering what he was doing out there. Now, I think they know what he was doing out there because they knew he went out there. Now, they're not saying if it's camera footage from the Tesla and they see anything, and they're not saying if it's because of phone pings. They're not saying all that stuff, but they did say he was tracked. So I went on a map. Okay. Like I said, I'm familiar with the whole LA area, but for you guys that aren't familiar with it, here is an overview. Okay. As you see, like I said, 2 hours and 22 minutes will be the fastest route. All right. That's the fastest route. But this is also during a little bit of traffic time. But I mean, there's always traffic time. What can I tell you? Now, this is not directly David's address. This is just from the Hollywood Hills to Santa Barbara County. Now, for you guys that's never been there, I'm going to zoom in. Okay. And I'm going to show you Santa Barbara County is a little more remote than what LA is. Once again, this is LA, right? See, all city, all city. But then look, depending on which route he took, he could have went through Thousand Oaks. right now, and let's zoom in a little more. You see this, people? You see this? Ain't nothing out there. Ain't nothing. You have one-on-one going across the highway. That's it. Ocean view bamboo. Then you got a little bit of city in here. But besides that, as soon as you cross into the line, ain't nothing here. This is all mountains. Let's look at this view so you guys can even get a better view. Look at that. So you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Easily could have went out here. Easily. What was he doing out here at 2 something in the morning or whatever it is? Y'all let me know. What could he have been doing? Holding a concert? Usually, if it's your phone, they would say ping, but they said tracked. So I'm thinking they used the combination of traffic cameras. That's one. I always tell you guys, traffic cameras to get you caught up, because all they got to do is type your license plate number into the system. That's all they have to do. AI will take over, and it will tell these police and law enforcement every traffic cam you go by. So they already have the plate because they have the car. And Tesla's nothing but a big computer, a big GPS system. So if that's what it is, it's easy for them to track. So they tracked them going out to Santa Barbara to this remote area. Okay. Came back the same night. They said that he spent about 2 hours out there and then came back. They're not telling us what those 2 hours were for. They're not telling us what he did out. They're not saying any of that. But they're saying Celeste passed away way back in the springtime due to her body being so badly decomposed.
Neighbors stated at the get-go that Tesla was covered in dirt, like it had been out in the elements. It was filthy and banged up. This is the critical part. In the spring, the LAPD is apparently focusing. There you go, is apparently focusing.
So that means that Celeste, okay, has been gone from us since spring, and they just found her in October in the Tesla. Now, there's two different things, okay? One thing is, did he go out there and, let's say, bury her somewhere out there because she was racked up in bags? So was she buried in the soil? I don't care how hard you dig, it wouldn't have been 6 feet deep. I talked about this in a couple other videos. Anybody who tries to dig a 6 feet deep hole with a shovel, it is hard. You're not going to get it done easy. So a lot of these people they start digging and they're like, dang, this is hard. And they put them there and just kind of cover them up with dirt. And they end up being in a shallow grave. So was she put in a shallow grave out there and then he drove back? That is one speculation. That's one theory. The other theory is, which leads to not just David, but two individuals. Did he put it out there, come back, and the other person who's involved? I'm going to explain why there's another person involved. I'm going to explain this to you. When he came back later on and went on his tour, whatever he was doing, did the other person go out there and go dig her back up, put her in the front, and then go park her by David's house on purpose to set him up? Because he was there with her in the first place and with him and he knew what was going on? And if so, why would they do that? Why? Was it jealousy? The reason why there is a second person involved is because they said so. They said in a manner of which how her body was dismembered, it would have took two people.
So are they thinking that there are more involved?
They believe there is more than one person involved in this based on the way and the manner in which the body was discovered, that it was cut up, and I don't know why, but they believe that it couldn't be the work of just one.
So I'm wondering what they meant by that, because I know a bunch of cases where only one person has done this. It doesn't take two, but I'm wondering how they know this if it takes two people. Or they're just saying that because they really know it's two people and they have two people on footage or camera or something. And that's just the excuse they're giving us. Because you got to remember, law enforcement, they can tell us anything. They have the right to lie. They can say anything they want to just to get some sort of evidence. They can do this. Well, they're saying there's two people involved, which in theory, a lot of people do believe there's two people involved, because some people are saying that David is bi and David has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was the one driving the Tesla and he's the one that drove the Tesla back. Now, like I said, that's his allegations. There's no proof, but that's what some people are saying. They've been saying that for a while. I even had people emailing me saying that. Okay. There is one message I'm going to get to that a person emailed me way back in October. And what they're saying makes a lot of sense now that I'm telling you this. And I'm going to let you know and show you this posting that was sent to me, which is all over X. Actually, it should be all over X now anyway, but at that time it was sent to me, it wasn't really all over, and a lot of people weren't putting two and two together, but now this theory makes sense. Well, the private investigator Stephen Fisher, who was hired by the landlord where David was living at, okay, David was living in this house in Hollywood Hills. David wasn't the one renting the house. It was David's manager renting the house. After all this came out, the owner of the house and David's manager decided to part ways, right? They came in, moved all the furniture out. Well, anyway, there was stuff left at the house. Steve Fisher, who's a private investigator, was hired by the landlord to go and do some investigation work because the landlord, I guess, was curious. So Steve Fisher went to the house and he found a Build-A-Bear certificate, okay? This Build-A-Bear certificate, if I remember correctly, the date was April 21st, okay, from Six Flags Magic Mountain. April 21st, Six Flags Magic Mountain. David also posted on one of his social media accounts that he was at Six Flags Magic Mountain, okay? And which makes this relevant is because the bear also has Esmeralda's name on it. Esmeralda is Celeste's cousin, who's the same cousin, allegedly, who started the GoFundMe account after Celeste died. So I even got emails saying that Celeste and some of her family members would actually be out in the streets partying with David while Celeste was missing. Everybody knew that she was with David. She really wasn't missing, okay? That is the information I got, and that David was giving them benefits. Kind of sick, if you ask me. But that's what people were telling me. Steve, I guess, kind of came across the same thing. He even talked to some people in the neighborhood as well and got some similar information. Now, he also found in the house some sort of equipment. He didn't say what exactly it was, but he did say what was found in the house could be used to dismember the body or chop one up. But he said it was still in the packages but here's the thing. Even if they're still in the packages, you can take something out of a package and reseal it. Have we all bought something from a crackhead on the street one time? I can name a few back in the day. They used to sell flat TVs, the back of the truck special, right? And you take it home and you open up the box, there ain't no flat TV in there. They got some bricks and some other stuff to make it feel like it's flat TV, but ain't no flat TV. You got bamboozled just because you thought the box was sealed. It happens. Happens to the best of us. No comment. I plead the fifth. But all I'm saying is, yeah, the packages were sealed, but that doesn't mean they weren't used or open. But who knows, right? That's just my theory, what I'm thinking. But that was what Steve Fisher found, all right? So it goes along with the chopped up body. It does. Now, here's something I'm going to get into that makes a lot of sense. Okay? And this is going back. It's not even morning time. I got my alarm on. Come on. But this goes back to the email I got, the message that was sent to me about the two Celeste theory. Now, there's a theory that floated around because there was pictures that popped up where David was hanging out with two Celestes. One was Celeste Hernandez, who was young, 13, 14 years old. The other one was Celeste Herrera, who's supposedly 23 years old. And friends that were in the same circle knew both of them. And then the Celeste Herrera, allegedly Herrera, said that when they were all around, when she was around the younger Celeste, she had to be called Cece. David would tell people to call the older one Cece. Now, this theory is going to be trippy. Check this out. So, about a month and a half ago, this was sent to me, and I never thought about bringing this up. I never talked about there was a second Celeste, right? Celeste Herrera, who was 23 years old. I never really mentioned her in any of my videos. She's one of the only ones I never really mentioned, just because I really didn't know the significance of her and what is she doing in the story. So I never wanted to bring her into the story, but until now. So, for you people that don't know, there's Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who is age 15. We all know she's the one I was found in the front. Well, she was 14, but she should have been 15. Then there's Celeste Herrera, whose age is 23 years old. Now, her nickname was Cece. Celeste Herrera said that when both Celeste, because both Celestes were, I guess, pictured together, but when they were together out in public with David, the older Celeste, who's of age, her name had to be Cece. Okay. Well, there was a theory a long time ago that Celeste Hernandez, when she was unalived, and they even said in this theory, it was way back before the 8th of June. And that's what they were saying, which would be before spring or would be, before summertime. So it would be the end of spring. According to the report of her missing body, the body was heavily decomposed, right? And then on this report, it says chopped up. And remember, this was sent to me a while ago. This was sent to me almost like 2 weeks after all this went down. Depending on the longevity of the decomposition, we won't really know if this theory is true or not. But to continue on with the theory, I believe that after unaliving Celeste, the younger one, David's obsession with her would not go away and that he would look for someone to fill her place, which would be the older Celeste, which her name was Cece. Enters as seen in the two photos. The new Celeste is wearing the same exact jacket. So both of these women are wearing the same exact jacket. This user goes on to say that David pretty much took the jacket off the old Celeste and gave it to the new Celeste to here for you to wear this jacket. David knew of Celeste's death and gave the new Celeste her jacket after she was unalived. Then XQC went and discovered that many of David's songs and music videos premiered on Celeste Hernandez's birthday, contributing to the fact that David was just obsessed with her. So this theory right now seems to be coming to light. It really is. And like I said, this was sent to me a long time ago. And I figured I'd bring this up now because now this is making sense. I mean, what do you think? Think about that. Two Celeste, right? Now, here's one thing that could have happened too. He got rid of the old one, did whatever he did to the old one, right? But used the second one almost like a decoy. And that's why he gave her the jacket. And, was almost like Celeste is still around. A lot of you people will be thinking like, well, why would he do that? Well, you got to think about it. She was underage. He would get in trouble for messing around with an underage girl. She was only, 13, 14. So he would get in trouble. He would be going to jail. He would be facing R. Kelly charges pretty much. All right? He's not that dumb. So it would make sense for him to try and cover something up. Now, some people are saying maybe she OD'd, and then maybe he tried to hide the body. and he should only get charged for, abuse of a corpse or whatever else. Pump your brakes on that one. Here's something that a lot of people ain't thinking about, all right? We all know you got the M charge, M-U-R-D-E, the unaliving charge. You have it first degree, second degree, you can even go third degree in some places, right? But a lot of people ain't thinking of this charge, which is unaliving felony or felony unaliving. Felony, M-U-R-D, okay? Felony M, that is a charge. It's separate from first degree, second degree, or third degree. It's even separate from MAN slaughter. If you don't know what that charge is when, let's say me and you want to go out and we want to go rob something, whatever it is. We get to that house and me and you have a discussion. I'm like, hey, we going to have these weapons, but whatever you do when we go in there, don't be pew-pewing nobody. All right, we're just going to take the jewelry and the money, we're going to leave. We go into the house, the suspects are in there or whatever we looking at. And the next thing you know, we find the money, the jewelry, and then in the return, you get trigger happy and decide to pew somebody in there, and those people pass. They're unalived. I didn't do it. You did it. But I can get hit with a felony M charge because what that is, it's unaliving somebody while committing a crime, while committing a felony. So if you're in the act of committing a felony, somebody dies, passes away, you can get charged for that. We can break into somebody else's house right now, and let's say the owner comes out with his pew-pew, and the owner comes out and pew-pews you, I decide to run off. Some states will charge me still with the passing of you, even though you were with me breaking in the house. But it's because I was committing a felony with you while you got pew-pewed. If we weren't committing this felony, you wouldn't have got pew-pewed. So a lot of people ain't thinking about that charge. So he can easily, and the state of California has it, he can easily get charged with that. Now, it's not going to be as much time as a first degree, but he can still get charged. Let me on the DEA. Give me my lawyer license, and I will find a way to charge him with that. It's not hard. You know what the felony is? Felony 1, underage girl. First felony right off the bat. Felony 2, even if she did pass from an OD and a toxicology report comes back and says she had drugs in her system. Only problem is, if it's been so long, they might not be able to tell how much. But she's a kid, 13, 14 years old. It's against the law to be giving kids. That right there is a felony. That's 2 felonies I just mentioned that she could have got unalived on. I can name a bunch of felonies. She was a runaway and you're harboring her. She's a runaway and you're harboring her and not even telling law enforcement. You went across state lines with her, allegedly. That is trafficking. With a runaway, you went across state lines with a runaway who was 30. That's trafficking. Now that's federal charge. That is a felony. I can name probably 10 felony charges that he can get charged with, okay? And they can get him with the M felony just to lock him up. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to do that, but it could be possible. Now, why did LAPD leak this information out? Could be 2 reasons. One reason could be somebody wasn't supposed to leak the information out. Obviously, that could be the first reason. Somebody had loose lips and was like, I'm tired of all these questions. You know what? David's a suspect. We are looking at him. Stop asking me. That could be the first one. The second one, though, could be they did it on purpose. They leaked out information on purpose just to see what David and maybe the other suspects were do. Because remember, they said there's 2. So they could have did it on purpose just to see what these other people will do or what David will do, or to see if the people who know something will eventually come forward, like, hey, because you got to think about it. If there is more than one person involved, and let's say they didn't do anything, they can get charged with that M felony too. So all they got to do is like, yeah, I ain't getting charged with that. I'll get charged with the abuse of a corpse, but I ain't going down for the M felony. I ain't doing years. Nah. Give me the misdemeanor charge, because a corpse, the corpse or whatever it is, hiding a corpse, that's a misdemeanor. Give me that charge. I'll do 5 months in jail if that's what I got to do, but I ain't doing years. So they could be doing it on purpose, just to see what they will do. It's just like sports. They do it in sports all the time. Information gets leaked just to do it, just to see. Example, LeBron James might not want to be traded. He might love where he's at, but somebody on the inside might leak some info to ESPN or ABC or something, be like, yeah, LeBron James wants to get traded. And now these teams like, oh, LeBron wants to get traded. Oh, well, this is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. Now these other teams are calling the Lakers, offering packages. And the Lakers are like, oh, this is what we can get for LeBron? This is what we can get? Okay. And in the meantime, they're like, yeah, LeBron, we weren't even trying to trade you. But somebody leaked information on purpose. You get where I'm going? So it could be a bunch of things. But I figure I'd give you guys this update. I mean, we all knew David was a suspect from the start. Come on now, we knew. But these pieces are starting to align. Some of it's starting to make sense, to me anyway, and I'm hoping that I can help you make it make sense, if you get what I mean. Please, my book's coming out soon. Rare Redemption is right here. Pretty much almost done with it. You go to the website, I'm gonna have everything, uploaded, things like that. Like, subscribe, turn on your notification bells. Let me know what city you're watching this from, and let me know what case you even started watching me from. Some of you guys started watching me from David. So let me know. And we all been waiting for this arrest, but it still ain't got there yet. But I wish I was there working with the law enforcement. It would have been gone. He would have been over with. But hey, I guess that's why I'm here talking to you guys. Fugitive TV, please like and subscribe. Have a blessed day. I am out.